Hello! Welcome again to another Dreadlocks question and answer where I answer questions that you guys have left me. You probably all know the format by now, but if you're new, welcome. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer 4 questions that have been left in the previous Q&A videos and 1 from the Facebook group. First question is from DvxMonster. Hey Chris, I started my dreads about 2 months ago and towards the end of pretty much every dread I get obvious curls. I was wondering if I just let them go, will they naturally decurl or should I do something about it? These curls are probably due to me being half black and half white, so I have curly hair that is a mix of kinky African hair and straight Caucasian hair. Thanks. The curly hair is what is going on there. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you have kinky afro type hair or Caucasian curly hair. Basically, if you have curly hair, it can come through in the dreads when the dreads are young. Any parts of your dreads that are just sort of still loose, they're going to be affected by how your hair would be normally, which, you know, in the case of it being curly, is going to be curly. Over time, the dreadlock's going to get tighter and sort of more compressed and not harder, but, you know, just more compacted, and then they'll be stronger, and so the curliness of the hair won't have much effect. So if you leave those tips alone and wait for them to lock up, you'll find that the loose bit at the end gets shorter and shorter as everything sort of tightens up, and then there won't be as much curl there. The only thing you have to watch out for, the curly bit at the end can sometimes fold back up against the body of the dread, and then it kind of gets thick, like, because it's doubled up. So as long as you watch for that. If it stays really loose, even once the dreads are matured, you can just cut the curl off if it really annoys you. Next question is from a name that I probably shouldn't say out loud, Wet Horse Blank. It'll be listed here if you are interested. Question: hey, I love your videos, they are super helpful. My dreads have very odd shaped sections which are causing some of them to grow slightly squashed and flat. Is there any way I can reorganize them so they are not so flat? Is there anything I can do apart from wet palm rolling to make them rounder? Once the dreadlocks are sectioned, then that's how they're gonna grow. Unless you combine 2 dreadlocks and therefore like double their section, you're not really gonna be able to change the shape much. But I would imagine that the flatness is probably less likely caused by the sectioning and more just because you have young dreadlocks. Unless your sections are like seriously rectangular, the dreads are gonna come out roundish. The problem you're probably having is when the dreadlocks are young, they're still soft, they haven't really compacted and got really sort of tight yet, so you know, you can squash them and they'll change shape, so when you sleep on them and stuff they get flat. When the dreadlocks get older and tighter, they will naturally become more round because they get squashed on all sides and just get tighter. But I have a video all about flat dreads which will explain it a bit more if you're interested, and I'll post it down in the description. Lauren Thompson asks, question: I'm starting my dreads next week with the back combing and crochet method. I've been having a lot of hair regrowth lately after increasing my protein and vitamin intake. Will those new baby hairs easily get knotted in with my dreads later on, or will I be left with lots of extra undreaded hair around my dreads? Thanks. Most people are going to end up with, you know, like loose hair undreaded around the dreads anyway. It just kind of happens with young dreads because it's hard. It's not hard, it's impossible to keep all the hair locked in. If you're starting with the back comb crochet method, then, you know, if you're open to crocheting your dreads, it's not going to be a big deal anyway, because you can just crochet that loose hair back in. But if you're not going to crochet them yourself, then eventually that loose hair will form its own little baby dreads. I mean, it depends how much there is. If it's just some loose hair, then you'll find it might join dreads by itself. If there's a lot of loose hair, then it will clump up into its own little baby dread, and then that will either join another baby dread, or grow in its own dread, or what tends to happen is it will join a more mature dread. Kyle Innes, question: what do you think about using aloe vera / aloe vera gel for frizz? Is it just like other products, or does it work? At the end of that question sort of implies that other products don't work, when in fact, you know, waxes and gels do work, in the sense that they will take loose hair and stick it against a dreadlock, and then it looks, you know, out of the way and attached to the dreadlock when it's really just stuck there. Aloe vera isn't, you know, as bad as that, because, you know, the main problem with waxes and gels, apart from the fact that they slow down and don't actually knot anything, they just stick things there, they don't properly wash out. Whereas aloe vera, now some people claim that they can get aloe vera out from just normal washing and drying. Some people say that it doesn't rinse out that easily. I would think that if it's just from the plant, you'd be able to, you know, worst case scenario, deep clean it out. I've previously recommended, you know, using a bit of aloe vera for like really damaged dry dreads. Frizziness is something that really has to be just sort of accepted for young dreads. I think if you get in the mindset that, oh no, my dreadlocks are frizzy, I have to fix it, I have to fix it, I have to fix it with aloe vera, then you're going to probably end up with problems, because you're going to just end up using a ton of aloe vera, and then you might see build up problems. I don't use it personally. If I was interested in doing an experiment with it, feel free to experiment, and you know, I wouldn't, but play with it if you really want to. Again, worst case scenario, deep clean it back out again. The Facebook question this week is from Greg Showen, and he asks, is it true that cannabis ashes tighten dreadlocks? I've never tried it, but I've had people ask me if I use it to help them. Right. I have never heard that one before. That sounds very much like a strange urban myth along the lines of all dreadlock people smoke cannabis type deal. I could not imagine how that would in any way help, maybe in that it would be dry, but I would not want to rub any sort of ash in my hair. It just sounds like a really strange and bad idea. I can't imagine where that myth has come from. Never heard of that before. Those are all my questions for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, then, you know, feel free to press the thumbs up, because, you know, thumbs up are cool and stuff. If you want to leave a question for the Q&A in the YouTube section, remember to write question at the start, otherwise it won't go into the list. If you want to see more videos from me, you can click the subscribe button, because then you get my new videos. As always, you can find all my things on lazydreads.com. You can find all the Q&As. Remember that if you want to see the questions, you can just look in the description. I list all the questions. If you want to join the Facebook group so you can post questions for this stuff, you can go to facebook.com/lazydreads. Anything else? I believe that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching. Farewell!